Ladies and gentlemen, there is a deep and inherent desire in all of us, a desire to start again, to begin anew, to leave behind the mistakes, the failures, the struggles, and the pain of the past. This desire for a fresh start is not an accident. It is not just the longing of a restless heart. No, it is something divine. It is a longing that God Himself has placed within us. He created us with the capacity to dream, to aspire, to be transformed, and to move forward. That desire you feel for a fresh start, it originates from God's design for your life. You must understand that desires are not just idle wishes, they are clues to the purpose God has for you. God doesn't place dreams in your heart that He doesn't intend to fulfill. He doesn't awaken longing for a fresh start without also equipping you for the journey. This desire is not something to be ignored or dismissed. It is God's invitation to step into the fullness of who He created you to be. The power of a fresh start is that it is not defined by the past. No matter what has come before, God's vision for your life is always greater than your history. Too often we allow our mistakes, our failures, and our past to dictate the direction of our lives, but God has a different plan. His plans for you are filled with hope, purpose, and promise. Your past does not define your future. What you've been through is not the final word on your life. You see, God sees you for who you truly are, not through the lens of your failures, but through the lens of your failures, but through the lens of your potential. However, you must be prepared for the process of renewal. A fresh start is not simply a momentary change, it is a journey. It requires time, patience, and growth. You may face challenges, obstacles, and moments where the road ahead seems uncertain, but understand that this process is refining you. God is not only preparing a new beginning for you, He is also preparing you for that new beginning. The journey of transformation may feel uncomfortable at times, but rest assured, it is in those moments that God is shaping you, strengthening you, and positioning you for something greater. In the midst of this transition, it's vital that you trust God. Trust Him in the uncertainty. Trust Him in the waiting. Trust Him when the path seems unclear, and trust Him when you don't know what tomorrow holds. God doesn't call you to a fresh start and then leave you to figure it all out on your own. No, He is with you every step of the way. He is guiding you, providing for you, and reassuring you that He has a plan. Even when you cannot see the way forward, He sees the end from the beginning. Your trust in Him during this time of transition will build your faith, and your faith will propel you toward the new beginning that God has promised you. Finally, know this: God is faithful to His promises. He has never failed, and He will not fail you. When He promises you a fresh start, He is not making a suggestion. He is declaring what will come to pass. As you align your heart with His purpose and trust His process, He will bring that fresh start to fruition. God is not just about giving you a new beginning. He is about fulfilling His purpose in your life. He will guide you, protect you, and empower you to walk into the new season He has prepared. So if you are standing here today desiring a fresh start, know that God sees you. He sees your heart, He sees your struggles, your pain, and your longing for renewal. And He is ready to bring you into a new season, a season filled with His promise, His power, and His purpose. So trust in Him. Take the steps forward in faith. And watch as God makes your fresh start a reality. The power of desire is a remarkable force within each one of us. It is not a mere wish or fleeting thought, but something deep and foundational, a spiritual force that is woven into the very fabric of our being. Desire is a sacred energy, one that shapes who we are, drives us forward, and ultimately guides our lives in ways we often don't even fully comprehend. But it is crucial to understand that desire is not a random impulse or a meaningless want. It is birthed from the Creator, who designed it to propel us toward our higher purpose. Your desire, whether it's for success, for healing, for peace, or for a fresh start, is not just a personal longing, it is a divine spark placed within you by God Himself. Many people view desire through the lens of selfishness or materialism, but if you dig deeper, you realize that true desire is a reflection of your divine potential. It's an invitation to step into something greater than yourself, a glimpse of the life you were created to live. These desires are not burdens that weigh us down. They are the very things that bring life to our souls. When you feel a desire rise within you, it's not merely a personal craving, it's God speaking to you. It's His way of stirring the latent potential within you, inviting you to move towards something that aligns with His divine plan for your life. Desire is the fuel that lights the fire of transformation. It's what drives you to overcome challenges, to rise above your circumstances, to push through pain and adversity. Without desire, life becomes stagnant. Without desire, we remain dormant, content in mediocrity, afraid to take that first step toward greatness. But when desire awakens in your heart, you are given the power to rise, to move forward, to pursue the things that God has promised for you. It is in this very pursuit that transformation happens. Desire pushes us to grow, to evolve, to tap into a higher version of ourselves, the version God has always intended for us to become. This divine desire, this yearning within us, is the key to unlocking God's purpose for our lives. Think about the dreams and hopes you carry, those deep, burning longings that refuse to die, no matter how many obstacles or setbacks you face. Those desires are not by accident. They are God ordained. They are a reflection of His purpose for you. He created you for greatness, to make an impact, to fulfill a destiny that only you can walk out. Your desires, when aligned with God's will, are the driving forces that will propel you toward that destiny. But here's the thing, the path to fulfilling those desires is not always easy. It's often fraught with challenges and doubts. The enemy will try to tell you that your desires are too big, too impossible, or too far out of reach. He will plant seeds of fear and discouragement in your mind. But you must remember, this truth desire, when partnered with faith, has the power to move mountains. It is through your faith that those desires are activated, nurtured, and brought to fruition. God has placed in you a divine hunger, a holy longing, and it is your responsibility to nurture it, to trust in its origin, and to walk boldly toward its fulfillment. When you look deep inside, you will discover that those desires are not about personal gain alone. They are about aligning your life with God's greater plan. They are about serving others, building a legacy, and fulfilling a purpose that goes beyond your own comfort. The desire for success, the desire to see your dreams fulfilled, the desire for peace or health, these are all connected to the higher calling that God has placed upon your life. They are not to be ignored, belittled, or suppressed. Rather, they are to be embraced, understood, and acted upon with courage and faith. Remember, the desires you carry are a reflection of the life that God has ordained for you. They are His invitation to rise above your circumstances and to step into the fullness of your destiny. Never dismiss them. Never belittle the longing in your heart. Know that these desires are not fleeting, they are divine. They are God's blueprint for your life, guiding you towards something greater than you could ever imagine. And it is in the pursuit of these desires that you will find fulfillment, peace, and purpose like never before. Trust in the power of your desires, for they are the whispers of God, urging you toward the life you were meant to live. God's vision for your life is so much bigger than your past. Too often we find ourselves trapped in the limitations of our experiences, haunted by mistakes, defined by failures, and sometimes consumed by regrets. But the truth that we must embrace is that no matter how deep the scars of yesterday, God's vision for your life far exceeds what you have already encountered. God does not look at you through the lens of your past. He sees you through the lens of your potential. You see, our mistakes, our setbacks, and even our darkest moments do not have the power to disqualify us from God's purpose. In fact, God has a remarkable way of using our past as the very foundation for something greater. The same experiences that may have left you feeling weak or defeated are the same experiences that God will use to shape you into the person you are meant to be. God's vision for your life is never restricted by the limitations of your past. It's not held hostage by your failures or your shortcomings. In the same way that a painter doesn't begin with the final image already completed in his mind, neither does God see your life as a finished product at the moment of your birth. He sees the masterpiece that you are becoming. He knows the end from the beginning, and He has already mapped out every step, every season, every victory, and every blessing that will unfold. So why do we allow our past to hold so much power over us? Why do we so often define our future by what we have already experienced? I'm here to remind you today that the God we serve is a God of new beginnings. His mercies are new every morning, and His plans for you are not bound by the limitations of your past. Your story has not ended, it is still being written. And each day, God is guiding you closer to His divine purpose. You must recognize that your past may have shaped you, but it does not define you. God sees the greatness within you that you may not even see in yourself. When He looks at you, He sees the person you are becoming, the person who will walk in victory, the person who will overcome every obstacle, and the person who will carry His glory into the world. As you step forward into the fullness of God's plan for your life, remember that He is not bound by the same time or space constraints that we are. His vision is eternal, and it transcends the temporal nature of our experiences. What you've been through does not limit what you can become. You may have failed, but failure is not your identity. You may have fallen short, but shortcoming is not who you are. God's vision for your life is rooted in who He created you to be, not in the mistakes you've made or the setbacks you faced. It is rooted in the divine purpose He has designed for you, a purpose filled with hope, a future filled with peace, and a destiny filled with fulfillment. When you step into God's vision for your life, you are stepping into a realm where the possibilities are endless. The chains of your past will no longer bind you. Instead, you will begin to see yourself as God sees you. You will walk in His strength, His grace, and His power. And you will see that what God has in store for you is greater than anything your past could ever offer. So today, choose to look forward. Choose to trust in God's plan for your life, knowing that it is greater than anything that has come before. Choose to believe that you are not bound by the limitations of your past, but are destined for a future that is filled with His glory and purpose. God's vision for your life is bigger than your past, and if you will step into it with faith and courage, you will discover just how magnificent His plans for you truly are. There is a profound truth in the idea that renewal, true renewal, does not come overnight. It is not a magic switch that is flipped with the mere intention of change. No, the process of renewal is just that, a process. It's a journey that requires patience, perseverance, and above all, faith. Many of us long for a fresh start, a new beginning, but we must understand that this new beginning is not instantaneous. It is something that happens within us before it is ever reflected in our external circumstances. When we embark on the path of renewal, we often find ourselves facing challenges, obstacles, and moments of uncertainty. It's tempting to think that renewal should be easy, that once we decide to change, everything will fall into place. But true renewal is not about avoiding hardship. It is about embracing the hard work, the discomfort, and the growth that come with it. It's about understanding that growth often occurs in the struggle, and it is in the refining process that we become who we were always meant to be. Renewal isn't just about changing your circumstances or improving your situation. It is about transforming your very self. It's about being refined in the fire of difficulty, tested in the trials, and yet still emerging stronger, more resilient, and more aligned with the purpose God has for you. The process of renewal is where your character is shaped. It's where your faith is built, not just for the future, but for the here and now. It's where you learn to rely not on your own understanding, but on the wisdom and strength of God. The process of renewal also requires us to let go of old habits, thoughts, and ways of being that no longer serve us. There is a letting go that is part of the renewal process. Letting go of the things that hold us back, the baggage from the past that we have carried far too long. Letting go of old fears, insecurities, and doubts that prevent us from fully stepping into the person God created us to be. Sometimes we hold on to these things because they are familiar, and the idea of stepping into the unknown is intimidating. But let me tell you this, in order to embrace the process of renewal, you must be willing to let go of the old so that the new can take root in your life. As you walk through this process, it's important to remember that renewal is not linear. It's not a straight path from where you are to where you want to be. There will be highs and lows. There will be moments of clarity and moments of confusion. But the key is to keep moving forward. Even when the road seems difficult, keep going. Even when you don't see immediate results, keep trusting in the process. Know that God is doing something in you, even when it doesn't look the way you expected it to. He is shaping you, preparing you, and making you into the person who can carry the blessings and purpose He has for you. At times you may feel like giving up. You may question whether the process is worth it or if it's all just too much. But this is where faith comes in. It's in these moments when everything feels uncertain that your faith in the process of renewal will carry you through. Trust that every step, even the difficult ones, is part of God's plan to renew you. Trust that the journey is not in vain. The process is doing something profound in your life that cannot be accomplished through shortcuts or overnight transformations. Renewal isn't just about making things better for the sake of comfort. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, the version that God has always seen in you. It's about aligning yourself with His will, His purpose, and His timing. The process of renewal is where you grow into that version of yourself, piece by piece, decision by decision, and moment by moment. It's not always easy, but it is always worth it. It is worth it because on the other side of the process is the person you were always meant to be, the person who is stronger, more confident, more aligned with your true purpose, and more deeply connected with God's plan for your life. So embrace the process, trust it, surrender to it. Know that every step, every challenge, and every victory along the way is part of something much greater than you can see right now. As you walk through the process of renewal, you are becoming the person you were always meant to be. And you are stepping into the life that God has planned for you. The process of renewal will transform you, and through that transformation, you will begin to see the new life, the new opportunities, and the new strength that God has waiting for you. Keep pressing forward because God is with you and He is renewing you every step of the way. Trusting God in the transition is one of the most profound and powerful acts of faith you will ever experience in your life. It's not just about believing that God will see you through the hard times, but about fully surrendering to His divine wisdom and timing. The process of transition is often accompanied by uncertainty, confusion, and even fear. Yet it is during these times that your trust in God is both tested and strengthened. In every season of change, when everything around you seems unstable, it's important to remember that God is not distant or detached from your journey. In fact, He is intimately involved, guiding each step you take, even when you cannot see the way forward. Transition can often feel like walking in the dark. The past is no longer your reference point, and the future seems elusive, unclear, and even intimidating. But it is precisely in these moments of uncertainty that God calls you to trust Him. Trusting God in the transition is not about having all the answers or knowing the outcome. It's about holding on to the truth that God knows what is best for you. When the ground beneath you feels unstable, when you are standing between what was and what is to come, God's word tells us that He is a firm foundation. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And His promises are sure. This trust requires letting go of control, the illusion that you can manipulate the circumstances or chart the course. It means trusting that God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't align with your own expectations or desires. We live in a world where immediate gratification is often expected, but with God, His work in you is not rushed. He is not in a hurry, and His plans unfold according to His perfect design. Just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean God isn't at work behind the scenes. Trusting God means having the confidence that the process is just as important as the destination. When you trust God in the transition, you also trust His ability to prepare you for what is coming. The difficult times are not just obstacles to endure, they are opportunities for growth, refinement, and transformation. Think of a seed that must be buried in the soil before it can break through and grow into something new. The soil may be dark, the process may feel slow, but the seed is being nourished and prepared for its breakthrough. Similarly, in your own life, God is allowing you to go through seasons of transition to develop your character, increase your resilience, and align your heart with His purpose. The waiting may seem long, but in this time, God is preparing you for a future that is far greater than you could imagine. Trusting God also means trusting that He will not leave you alone in the process. The transition may feel isolating, and there may be moments when you feel like you are walking this journey on your own. But God promises that He will never leave or forsake you. His presence is always with you, even when you can't feel it. His Holy Spirit is your guide, your counselor, and your strength during times of uncertainty. Trusting God means understanding that He is not just with you during the good times, He is with you in the valleys, in the waiting, and in the discomfort of the unknown. As you continue through this transition, know that God's plan is always for your good. He works all things together for those who love Him. Even when the process seems hard, even when the road feels long, God is faithful to complete the work He has begun in you. Your future is secure in His hands. And every transition you experience is part of His greater plan to bring you into the fullness of your destiny. So trust Him. Trust His timing, trust His process, and trust that He is working in you and through you even when you can't see it. As you trust in Him, you will find that the transition is not just a path to a new season, but a journey that deepens your relationship with Him and equips you for all that lies ahead. As we stand in the midst of life's transitions, we are reminded that our trust in God is not a passive hope, but an active, living faith. It is a trust that moves us forward even when we can't see the next step. It is a trust that says, I may not understand the process, but I know the one who holds my future. When you trust God in the transition, you are placing your hope in His unchanging nature, His perfect timing, and His unwavering love for you. You may not always know what comes next, but you can always be confident that God is with you every step of the way. His plans for you are good, His promises are sure, and His presence will guide you through every season of change. Trusting Him in these moments shapes your character, strengthens your faith, and draws you closer to His purpose for your life. So as you journey through the transitions that come your way, remember that it is not the transition itself that defines you, but the trust you place in God through it. And when you trust in Him, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more aligned with the divine plan that He has designed specifically for you. Trust God, for He is always working for your good. Trust Him in the transition, and you will see that He is leading you to a future filled with purpose, promise, and power.